Hello there and a very warm welcome to another edition of the program. I am Victor Matthias. Now, there has been so much reaction to the anticipatory approval and payment of $496 million to the U.S. government for the purchase of 12 Tucano aircrafts by President Muhammadu Buhari. This has even caused stormy sessions in Nigeria's upper and lower legislative chambers, as well as from Nigerians. And that will be our focus on the program today. We will also be looking at the role of young people in nation building. But we will first take a minute to see some of the stories that got the social media bubbling in the past week.
After allegedly jumping out of a moving police van, an attempt to recall the senator representing Kogi West Senatorial District, Dino Melaye, failed after the verified signatories to the petition for his recall fell short of requirements. Only 18,742 of the 189,870 signatories to the petition for the senator's recall were verified by INEC. In a bid to end malaria, the World Malaria Day is commemorated every year on April the 25th to recognize global efforts to control the mosquito-transmitted disease. It is reported that 3.3 billion people in 106 countries are at risk of malaria globally, which has caused the deaths of thousands. Europe's elite club competition also got tweeps excited as the first leg of the semi-final between Liverpool FC and AS Roma and Bayern Munich versus Real Madrid took place in the cities of Liverpool and Munich.
Well, there you go. Those were the trends in the past week. But joining us to look at the topics we're looking at today, just by my immediate right, we have Wale Oshunde. He is a legal practitioner. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thanks for having me.
We also have Graham Elendu who joins us as well. Graham, it's a pleasure to have you on the program as well.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here too.
Great. So let me just begin with you, Wale. I mean, you know, there's been so much. There were stormy sessions at the National Assembly in the past week, you know, over the decision by the president to, you know, make this purchase. I mean, we're in trying times in the country at the moment, and I think maybe that's why the president went ahead to make, you know, his move. But what do you think could have led to that decision by the president?
Well, for me, yes, we have security challenges in Nigeria, but I make bold to say that there is no right way of doing a wrong thing. It's a very simple thing. You cannot excuse national emergency or whatever thing it is that the president is actually talking about for a due process. You can't replace you know, due process with a presidential directive or whatever he thinks is right in the circumstance. And so I feel that our constitution is very clear. The powers to appropriate, you know, monies for whatever thing that we want to achieve in the country rests and lies with the National Assembly. And as such, the president should have informed the National Assembly, and not just informing the National Assembly, he should have actually gained the consent of the National Assembly before rightfully transacting any business or withdrawing monies to that effect, and then, of course, transferring such monies to foreign accounts or foreign countries. So I think that is really wrong. To be honest, it's even an impeachable offense, but, I think that the National Assembly would actually do the needful in the circumstances.
I mean, there are these arguments as well, about the excess crude accounts. I mean, people are saying that since the establishment of that account, no president has ever, made a request to the National Assembly before making, a withdrawal. I mean, so there's a precedent, and that perhaps could have led to this issue. I mean, where we are at the moment.
For me, it's really wrong. I mean,
the
Constitution makes provision for what we call the Consolidated Revenue Fund, and that is the only lawful or legal authority as to withdrawals and then deposit of monies on behalf of the Federation of Nigeria, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so it is only the National Assembly that can validly authorize, or should I say, legislate on whatever emergencies that touches on the withdrawal of monies from that fund or from that account. So if you're talking about any other account or what have you that is unknown to the Constitution, then I'm sorry, we're on our own. And so we cannot excuse any precedent that is probably not on the side of the law for, we can't justify the present circumstance with any precedent that is wrong. If a precedent is actually laid on a faulty foundation, it does not mean it is right. And so the only lawful thing that should have happened, for me, I think the president even missed his chance. What he should have done was to probably write the National Assembly for an opportunity to address the joint session of the National Assembly and then explain the emergency situation that we have found ourselves to members of the National Assembly, and then explain to them that, we need to actually do this thing very quickly, and then we need these funds to actually engage the United States and then get, the equipment. We all know Boko Haram is actually ravaging our land. We know that we need to act very quickly, and then I do not think that members of the National Assembly will shy away from that reality. So it should actually have written the National Assembly, or it should have actually addressed the National Assembly to that effect. And then I feel, it could have done better, not just authorizing this payment.
I would come back to you in a bit, but, let me just bring Graham into this a discussion. I mean, still staying with the National Assembly, just before this week, there has been, like I said, stormy sessions in the past week. But before then, we had the issue with the mace, being taken away. So there already has been this friction, between members of the PDP and the APC, so that kind of, snowballed into, the whole thing. And because, like you said, it's an impeachable offense. And now there is that stormy session as a result of trying to invoke that section that, talks about impeachment. So, first of all, with the mace, brouhaha and all of that, I mean, where are we heading to?
Basically, the truth is that, like he said, there's no way you can excuse the actions of the president because it's a precedent prior to this time. Though there's this saying that when an abomination stays in a land for too long, it becomes a norm. Maybe that's how, the president decided to operate. But I think you're right when you said he missed a very golden opportunity, because it would have been, it would have been a good way to score beautiful points if he had called on, the joint session and all that, and, present how, urgent this very matter is. The senators and that of the House of Rep members, the truth is that I think they are the easiest people to gather if you know what to do. It took them less than how many minutes to converge and visit Dino Melaye when he was in the hospital and all that. So no matter how urgent it looked, it would have been easy to, bring them together. Then on the case of the mace and all that, my stand has always been simple on that very matter. In as much as we're not trying to go through what led to, what it is, who's being alleged and all that, my basic concern is using the youths to, carry out those ill activities. I think it's high time with the youth stand up our chance. I'm an advocate for the youths. We want the youths to come to the front burner. But then we need to really, excuse the youths from getting involved. Because if you notice, there are not old men that picked those, that picked the mace. They are youths.
Exactly.
But then it's a bad example because we're canvassing for youths to be seated at the assembly even. I have my, I'm sure a couple of countries have very young people as president. We know the statistics and we know the country. France is there, Austria is there. So my basic concern is the youths should actually stand because following these things, the older ones, they failed us. That's the truth. And if the youths don't stand up, they'll end up keep using the youth to actualize their selfish gain. But then I think the National Assembly, they've not played the role of, role models, in a couple of sessions. We really need to checkmate it. And I think that's where 2019 is around the corner for us to make a statement.